Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Mornin Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love Crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the first 4 ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV 8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aagrant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
This is the CBC Morning Report for Tuesday, February 6th. I'm Tisha Hines. Good morning. In our top story, Barbados is seeing new pests each year for the last few years. Entomologist Ian Gibbs says this is why surveillance has to be heightened in order to ensure that these invasive, non-endemic species do not harm local helpful insects or destroy crops.
There are new insects coming on stream virtually every year. Almost every year in the past 10 years, we have had the introduction of 1 or 2 new species into the island. And so when they come in, you've then got to get them properly identified to know that it's specifically that particular insect you're dealing with, and then develop a strategy for the control of it, whether it be chemical or biological or otherwise. And I'll give you an example. About 3-4 years ago, we found a species of mealybug here that was doing a lot of damage on our pasture grasses. Those grasses being grown by, for example, the dairy farmers. So much so that when some of these pastures were cut, you would see like large clouds of this bluish smoke coming up from them, which was the bodies of the mealybug plus all the wax that they usually secrete. And they were coming up like clouds of this bluish white smoke. But what we did, we said, let's look to see if there is something biologically controlling it. And we did collections. I mean, hundreds and thousands of these mealybugs from different localities on the island. And at 2 localities, we found that there was a tiny parasitic wasp attacking them and giving pretty good control. So what we said, we were elated about that. And we took them and we transferred them to the lab. We grew up colonies of the mealybugs in the lab as well, and we infected or parasitized those colonies in order to produce lots more of that particular parasite, and then we released them at various areas on the island in the pasture grasses, and there's not really a problem with that mealybug any longer. And that's the first record of that mealybug in the Western Hemisphere. God only knows how it came in here.
Mr. Gibbs says that unfortunately the knowledge pool to help deal with these matters has been reduced significantly because of retirement. While those remaining are working hard, some areas need to be topped up.
Over the past few years, the Ministry of Agriculture has lost a lot of its professional people, whether through retirement or persons passing away or whatever reason. And quite a number of them have not been replaced. So you are working with a smaller cadre of trained professionals with experience in specific backgrounds, trying to tackle the same or more problems that we are facing now. And I really don't know how long it's going to continue like that, tell you honest truth, in that situation. There is a need, definitely, to strengthen parts of the ministry, the entomology section, plant pathology section, which has been asking for a plant pathologist for years, and even strengthening the plant quarantine section, because they are on the forefront of seeing whether new pests are coming into the island.
The seasoned entomologist says with the movement of so much cargo and people into the island now, that control mechanism must be strengthened, especially as relates to holding infested produce at the ports of entry.
When a shipment, say, of plants came in, right, and then the requisite persons had to open up these boxes to check whether they had any unwanted travelers, insects in particular or whatever. You used to get insects, frogs, spiders, you name it. There's no place to open it in. I mean, like this room, for example. So if you open the box in an enclosed room like that, the insects that may fly out can't go anywhere. But you're opening these boxes in a cargo area, cargo shed, which, to use a old Bajan word phrase, was like an open sepulcher. Anything could get out, you know, and the same thing applied to the port. So there has been a crying need to get a facility at the port and at the airport, in which, I mean, it's something even as small as this room. You don't need a big highfalutin thing. I've seen you in Florida, and that is wonderful. But something as small as an enclosed like this could work.
Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, teachers in Guyana take industrial action.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant.
Teachers in Guyana made good on their promise to take industrial action from yesterday. 16,000 educators from different regions were out in their numbers at different points, including outside the Ministry of Education, waving placards, billboards, and banners in a show of solidarity. General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, Coretta McDonald, says the teachers want their demands met and they're not afraid of losing portions of their salaries.
When we struck against the coalition in 2018, not one teacher lost any monies from their salaries. Even though we were on the streets for 9+ days, not 1 cent was taken from them. But we know how the PPP will operate. And if they decide that they are going to deduct monies from our teachers' salary, let me say to them, that's good news for us, because corporate sponsors out there have already pledged that they will reimburse our teachers. So go ahead, deduct the teachers' money, but you know what you're going to be doing there? You're going to be instilling even more radicalism in our teachers across this country when you deduct their money. If you don't want our teachers to withhold their services, talk to their union.
If all goes according to plan, Barbuda will become the Caribbean hub of self-driving cars. The transformation will come in line with the vision of Prime Minister Gaston Brown, as we hear in this ABS report.
Barbados streets may soon be staring into the future, with Prime Minister Brown revealing a bold plan to integrate self-driving cars into the island's roadways. It comes following the Prime Minister's recent trip to China, where he viewed several innovative technologies.
You know, they have their self-driving cars and so on, so there are certain lanes for self-driving cars. You may have 2 lanes going in different directions, and these cars are powered by AI. Now, I believe we can achieve that in Barbuda.
Prime Minister Brown envisions a dual-lane future with a twist, one for traditional traffic and another reserved for AI-powered unmanned vehicles.
But because Barbuda is a clean and clear canvas, I'm now thinking that as part of our planning, we must have at least any road that we build must be able to accommodate at least 4 vehicles, 2 each way, 2 the other way, reserving probably 2 potentially for unmanned vehicles, because that is where the world is going.
The Prime Minister is planting the seeds of a tech-driven future for Barbuda, which, if realized, would put the sister isle at the forefront of technological advancement. It would also pave the way for a new era of transportation and connectivity on the sister island.
Officials in St. Lucia are appealing to fisherfolk to respect the closure of the lobster season to allow the species to replenish. Here's more from NBC Prime.
Lobster, a culinary delight cherished by food enthusiasts, remains a prize catch for both fishermen and seafood establishments. However, owing to fluctuating temperatures and excessive fishing, the lobster population has experienced a notable decline, impacting not only the marine ecosystem, but also the overall crustacean population.
We just want to implore that you adhere to the closure of the season, as the closure is due to the period being the optimal time for lobsters to spawn in St. Lucia and in the Caribbean, which means that the lobsters are reproducing, they're creating young. So to ensure the sustainability of the fishery and to ensure that we have more lobster in the future to come, we're really imploring that people stick to the close season and do not take any lobster during that period.
Fisheries biologist Monique Calvern emphasizes the importance of adhering to the closure regulations and urges the public to promptly report any instances of selling, displaying, or capturing lobsters during the closed season. Enforcement officers will be stationed at key locations to monitor and ensure strict compliance with these regulations.
The lobster season is going to be closed in St. Lucia from the 28th of February to the 1st of August inclusive. So during this period, you are not allowed to capture, sell, harvest, or display for sale any lobster. And we're asking any lobster purchasers, whether that be commercial, restaurants, hotels, etc., to please submit a lobster declaration to the Department of Fisheries.
Furthermore, Calvern underscores the crucial role of safeguarding and preserving the marine ecosystem. In the face of climate change affecting reefs and habitats, governments are adopting proactive measures to sustain and rejuvenate these vital ecosystems. Each marine species plays a pivotal role, making it essential to collectively contribute to the well-being of the oceans and regulate the planet.
In Venezuela, despite a drop in inflation, hardships persist. Citizens struggle with soaring prices and stagnant wages, while vendors face declining sales. Analysts worry about inflation's impact on recovery, foreseeing challenges ahead despite lifted U.S. sanctions. Al Jazeera reports.
When inflation fell from 300 to 190% last year, there was reason to celebrate for some in Venezuela. But the South American nation still has one of the highest rates in the world. With wages frozen for the past 2 years and low exchange rates, making a trip to the shop is a nightmare for Mariela Rodriguez.
Last year I would get food for the week with the equivalent of $20. Now I get enough for 3 days. Meat and fish are so expensive. My pension is $3.5 a month. What are we going to do?
The local Bolivar currency loses value against the dollar from week to week. Teresa Arcila says only God can help her.
I go shopping, praying so I can buy all I need. Things are more and more expensive by the day.
Economists say the government is not raising wages to control inflation. But President Nicolas Maduro says things are better, with goods supply at 90%. Market traders say business is bad because customers don't have enough cash.
People used to buy 10 bananas, now they take 2 or 3. Spending has gone down all over the country. We are all affected.
In order to sell her products, Joana Martin says she lets customers pay weeks later.
There are people who spend many days of the month without a penny, so I let them take my products. They always come back to pay me.
The U.S. lifted sanctions on Venezuela in October. Easing restrictions on the country's financial, gold and energy sectors has boosted the economy. The condition to prevent sanctions being reimposed is to guarantee fair elections. Analysts say the road to recovery will be determined by the general election this year.
Economic sanctions and agreements could impact our estimation of inflation rates. We are not optimistic because in an electoral year we always see the rates go up. My most optimistic number is 170%.
That prediction of high inflation and soaring prices for the foreseeable future is the last thing these shoppers want to hear.
Well, it's time now for us to preview what's coming up on today's edition of Morning Barbados. We continue conversations on CARICOM with His Excellency David Commichon. Coming up this morning, we talk about Cuba-Barbados relations. And then we talk about 7 dates of intimacy as we look toward Love Month. Kamisha King, visionary strategist and life purpose coach, is going to be in to discuss that with us. Plus, JCI Barbados will be here. Rugby is back in Barbados. We'll update you on that. And we're talking about AgroFest. We'll tell you how you can get to go for free. That's all at 6:30. But next, we have more news, sports, and weather. Do stay with us. The chairman of Home Ownership Providing Energy, or HOPE Incorporated, has cleared the air over the stalled housing project in Poole, St. John, noting that the project is very much still in motion, but it has been impacted by a legal issue. In a statement, Chairman of Hope Incorporated, Colin Scaife, explains the formal passage of legal title of the pool lands to the government of Barbados, a process arising out of the CLICO collapse, is still unexpectedly incomplete years after the transfer was initiated. Without legal title to the land, he says work has, of necessity, been temporarily halted at Poole. In the interim, he says optimal use of resources dictates the shift in focus to where the greatest impact will be made. That is, Hope's other sites, such as Lancaster, Clifton and Colleton. He says Poole, in the interim, was assessed by independent civil and structural engineering firm Mayhe Ridley Hazard as to what measures were required to maintain the integrity of the materials and site during the pause in works. All the recommendations put forward in their report to Hope Inc. were adopted, and periodic debushing, a key part of this process affected by heavy rains, will resume. The chairman adds the benefit of the reallocation and concentration of resources is that first keys to homes at Lancaster are expected to begin to be handed over by Hope Inc. to buyers this month. There is ministerial support for the central bank's projections that the Barbados economy will soon take off. It's coming from Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman. Speaking at the St. Michael's Southeast Branch meeting, he said the economic review delivered by the central bank governor shows the local economy is on the right path as all sectors registered growth.
Right now, we are at $2.9 billion in foreign reserves. 2.9 billion, not million, billion, which is the equivalent of 30.3 weeks of import cover. So we have over half of a year of import cover in the economy right now. Again, coming after COVID. Let's pause and reason for a bit. Can you imagine if COVID did not happen in 2020? We would have been a lot further. But the point I'm making is that the policies of the government and the Labour Party have been able to make impact that we can now start to, as the Prime Minister said, before was a stabilization exercise. After we came to office, you had to treat the patient, and now the patient is getting up and walking.
Looking towards the future, Senator Blackman says efforts need to be made to seize the opportunities available in the creative and sporting sectors.
Where I just came from, the ILO, when I was working there was a study which showed that jobs of the future are going to be in areas of sport, and not just the traditional sporting, going on the field or going on a court, but the other areas in the ecosystem of sporting, whether it be the management, the therapy, the different areas of sporting exercise. You have Pylons, football club, basketball. We now have to reimagine what that means for Barbados' economy. And perhaps the time has now come where we have to now look at the sports economy and do the numbers and put these figures to it to see how do those teams at the local level not only tap into the national level, but become players in their own right and an ecosystem that can tap in to sports around the world.
Approximately 230 exhibitors are confirmed for this year's AgroFest. Now, this update from Logistics and Operations Coordinator Theodore Fraser. He was speaking to CBC News during a site visit at Queen's Park yesterday. Mr. Fraser says the number represents an increase when compared to last year's exhibition.
Numbers have actually increased over what we saw last year. So we're looking at maybe a 20% increase over what was there last year. Well, I think it's a couple of things really. The opening back up of the island from COVID, people are a bit more relaxed now about coming out, not having to wear the restrictions in terms of the mask and so forth. And generally what the exhibition brings. It's a great opportunity to expose your products, your services. We capture close to 60,000 persons every year, so being able to showcase to that wide cross-section of patrons will always be a drawing factor.
Mr. Fraser has confirmed there will also be a number of overseas exhibitors from Suriname and Guyana. He says the youth will also be well represented.
Even though the schools are on break, we still work with the schools directly in terms of getting them to not only bring the students down to tour the exhibition, but also take part and have exhibit or showcase what the schools are doing. We know a number of our 4-H clubs will also be there this year, so the interest is still there. And we're seeing more and more young people getting involved in farming and also bringing animals to showcase at AgroFest that, yes, they're young, but they also know, how to prepare animals for showing and so forth. And we want to build on that as well.
Only the weather and subsurface damage could slow down government's accelerated roadworks project. The revelation from one of the managers, Paul Wilkinson, as the media got an update on the progress of the work from Sweetvale to Darrell's St. George. Trevor Thorpe was there.
The project manager says work started over the weekend and they should be moving to another location next week. He says looks can be deceiving, but the milling and paving are going ahead on schedule.
All things holding fair and we don't have to deep mill, and sorry if we use in terms of it's out here, but does make it, once we take off this top layer and we don't see any defects, right? We can, I would say by the end of this week, we should be finished here.
Heavy equipment, technical specialists, and workmen started work at Locust Hall St. George today, but he said they are working with the traveling public in mind.
The weather is cooperating. We're working night and day. We'll set up some shifts because we know we're working on another stretch of road, which is layers to the entrance to Jack in the Box, Valley Via Pro. So we're working on that section during night because we always still try to mitigate against, traffic congestion, because that is a heavy route coming into the city, where, going down to Hoddesdon turning and then to Waterford Bottom. So that will be done at night because of the heavy traffic, but this area is a little easier to manage. That's why we are doing this one during the day.
According to the project manager, work is on schedule, but the environment can throw up surprises. He gave examples.
Just the one little unknown, like some of these roads were obviously for a good while. So they were in this state for a good while. They look pretty okay, but it's only when we take off the top surface, sometimes you will see some defects will come up where they would have been excavated or whatever before. But other than that, everything is basically going to according to schedule.
At Locust Hall, crews were busy milling and clearing in the run-up to receiving asphalt application in the coming days. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Thanks, Trevor. UAE Blackbirds shocked defending champions Weymouth Wales, while Britain still edged Empire when the BFA Premier League continued last night at the Wildy Turf. Our Anmar Goodrich Boyce was there.
Britain's Hill in red going up against Empire, with both teams looking for their first victory of the new season. And it only took 11 minutes for Britain's Hill to draw first blood. Rum Albino glances up and decides to have a crack. The keeper Joshua James is off his line, and that's into the back of the net. Britain's Hill with the early advantage. Empire ensured that there was nothing separating the sides going into the halftime break. Exquisite through ball from Zenio Harris into Zuri Morris, and the finish is twice as good. Excellent composure, calm, cool and collected, all squared at the interval. Well, Empire started the second half, the brighter of the two. Kemar John drives into the box and is fouled. Referee Andrew Herbert says, yup, that's a penalty. Chance for Empire to take the lead. Morris with the golden opportunity from 12 yards, but the keeper guessed the right way. Access denied. The score remained level until the 82nd minute. Individual brilliance from Jermaine Ford. The advantage is played and the rest is history. Bino is on target again, and that's how it ended. Britain's Hill 2, Empire 1. To the main event now, UAE Blackbirds in yellow and black, taking on defending champions Weymouth Wales. The score was goalless at the end of the first half, and right until the 77th minute when this occurred. Christian Gill skips past his man and finds Kairos Graves, the match hero, who opens up his body and slots it home. Absolutely fantastic. The Wildy Turf erupts as UAE Blackbirds fly to the top of the BFA Premier League with a 2-1 win over Weymouth Wales. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Well, that's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 noon on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations on 100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM. Morning Barbados is next.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Good to have you in company on this Tuesday, February 6th. It's wonderful to be back as well. What a day it has been for me already, getting accustomed to being back out so early. It takes a bit of effort, but I'm here nonetheless. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be with you until 8 o'clock this morning. So we have a grand show planned for you, and there's lots happening all across the island. Of course, there's AgroFest. We're going to give you an opportunity to win tickets to go to AgroFest 2024 for free, so you want to listen out for that. We have a little bit of social media buzz coming up where we share what's happening online with you as well. And the Barbados Rugby Football Union, they are going to be in to tell us all about the new season. Kenneth Payne, the Vice President of the Barbados Rugby Football Union, is going to be here with us. Jessica Darrell, Kathy Daniel, they're all going to be here to talk about what is happening with the restarting of rugby here on the island. Plus, we are telling you about something very, very interesting as we look toward this month, the month of love, February. So we're talking to Kamisha King, who is a strategist and life purpose coach and speaker, podcaster, author, publisher, a content creator. She will be here to talk the 7 dates of intimacy, 7 days of intimacy. Interesting. We're going to talk more about that. Devon Paris, the 2024 president of JCI Barbados, and Kuwana Miller, 2024 immediate past president of JCI Barbados. They're going to be here to tell us about the plans and projects for this year as well. But we're going to get today started with conversations on CARICOM. A very interesting place to start is with Cuba-Barbados relations. So let me go right ahead and say good morning and welcome to Ambassador David Comichon. I have to say good morning. I have to say it's good to see you. I have to say Happy New Year and all of that stuff. And I'm a little disappointed because while I was home, I saw you here on the couch, and now I'm back. You're there and I'm here.
Yes, well, let me welcome you back, Tisha. It's good to have you back. Unfortunately, I'm in Jamaica, so I'm coming to you from the Pegasus Hotel room in Jamaica. I'm here as a guest of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. So we are doing a retreat. We're doing some work on CARICOM's reparations agenda. But as soon as I'm back in Barbados, I will be there live and direct rather than virtual. But last week, I was in Cuba. I spent the last 9-10 days of the month of January in Cuba, and I took the opportunity to try to follow up on the Barbados-Cuba cooperation agreement. We have a Barbados-Cuba cooperation task force, and I'm in charge of the Barbados side of the task force. So coming out of the CARICOM Cuba Summit in December of 2022 that was held in Barbados, and the Barbados-Cuba bilateral meeting that was coincided with the summit, we have a cooperation agenda with Cuba. We are focusing on 10 different areas of cooperation. And so I am paying very close attention to how those areas are being implemented. In addition to that, I was in Cuba as a guest of the Cuban news agency, Prensa Latina, and they were looking at all of the challenges to do with news reporting in the world today, all the propaganda, the fake news, the anti-Cuba propaganda, etc., the propaganda around the assault on the Palestinian people in Gaza. And I also was very fortunate that my visit to Cuba coincided with the Havana Jazz Festival. I was able to see a little bit of Keisha Christian's performance, and I was able to visit some of the attractions of Havana that I think the Barbadian people really need to go to Cuba to experience. So it was a very packed visit, Keisha. And we can discuss any aspect of it that you would like to focus on.
All right, wonderful. It's great to hear that there are so many discussions happening around what's happening globally. But let's talk about the relationship with Cuba and Barbados directly. What are you working on in that area to continue the diplomacy that has been going for so many years and working so well to the benefit of both countries, really?
Yeah, well, just to re-emphasize for Barbadians, CARICOM has a very special relationship with Cuba. Every single independent CARICOM country has an embassy in Cuba, and likewise, Cuba has an embassy in every single CARICOM country, and that's very unique. You don't find that with any other country, that kind of relationship. Also, every 3 years, we have a CARICOM Cuba summit where all the heads of government come together. So, coming out of the last summit, we established this joint Barbados-Cuba cooperation agreement. So, education, tourism, health, sports, agriculture, biotechnology. I mean, some of the areas that I find very exciting. As you would know, Barbados is in the process of establishing, not just one life sciences farm, but eventually several life sciences farms and life sciences parks, sorry. And the intention is for, Cuba has done very, very well in the whole area of genetic engineering and biotechnology. And so when I was in Cuba, I was able to visit Cuba's Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. And it was so exciting to know that they will be part of the building out of our life sciences industry in Barbados. They have pioneered some cutting edge medications in the health sphere. We are very, very interested in their Hepaprop P drug. This is a drug that is used to treat diabetic ulcer. Diabetic ulcer is what typically leads to many Barbadians suffering amputations of their limbs. And right now, with the Ministry of Health, we are working on bringing Hepaprop P to Barbados, have it registered in Barbados, so it's available for Barbadians suffering from diabetic ulcer. But because Cuba is under this embargo, and because Cuba is under this embargo from the United States, for example, Cuban medications are not registered by the American Food and Drug Administration, etc. We have to go through a process of doing our own study in relation to the medication so that it can satisfy our requirements, our legal requirements for registration in Barbados. So right now we are working on that, the Ministry of Health, Export Barbados as well, and we're very excited about that. Cuba's also developed things like a vaccine for lung cancer. And one of the most inspiring things of my visit, Tisha, was that visit to the Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, and hearing the presentation and hearing the Cuban specialists say that, look, if Cuba can only withstand this U.S. blockade, and if this system that Cuba has developed for itself of genetic engineering and biotechnology, if that system can remain intact and continue on the trajectory that it is on now, producing new cutting-edge treatments and medications, they are predicting that by the year 2050, cancer will no longer be a killer disease, that it will be a chronic disease that you can live with, that can be treated with medications. So that is the kind of scientific powerhouse we have in the Caribbean. But a lot of Cuba's potential is actually being held back by the fact that they have to struggle with all of these sanctions from the United States. So in the area of trade, part of our cooperation agreement with Cuba is to implement the second protocol of the CARICOM Cuba trade agreement. So we have Export Barbados, we have the Vision of Foreign Trade in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working on trying to get Barbadian exporters to get their products into Cuba. But the blockade is making it very difficult. Problems with transportation to Cuba, problems with Cuba having foreign exchange, to pay for the imports. late payments because of Cuba's difficulties with the U.S. Embargo. But we are forging ahead. As I said, sports. We have had this collaboration with Cuba with training in sports since 2003. There are 8 disciplines, from athletics to boxing, swimming, to a host of disciplines where we have had Cuban coaches in Barbados for over 20 years now. And in terms of the new agreement, we are going to be helping Cuba to develop cricket, road tennis, and netball. So we will be sending coaches to Cuba in these 3 areas. And we have also agreed that in the sports of beach volleyball and basketball, that we're gonna develop a special bilateral competition between Barbados and Cuba, where we play these games. We do these contests against each other in beach volleyball and basketball. So many areas, Tisha, that we are really trying to push ahead with, but we are doing it against the background of that U.S. blockade that makes life very, very difficult for the Cuban people. And that's part of our diplomacy as well to the whole of CARICOM. We continue to reach out to the United States government to say, look, this blockade is counterproductive, not only for Cuba, but for all of us in the CARICOM area. Please remove it. But so far, we have not been successful.
Well, tell us the ways that you are able to reach out to share how CARICOM feels collectively about this blockade and how it's impacting Cuba's progress. Is it only when you attend some of these international conferences? Is it by by correspondence that you send, various meetings that are held? How is this communicated?
Well, CARICOM has tried everything from a collective private letter of our heads of government to President Biden, explaining to him very rationally and reasonably why this blockade is anachronistic and why it needs to go, to voting every year. Every year in the United Nations General Assembly, there's a resolution condemning the blockade and calling upon the United States to remove it. And every year, for the last 30 years, CARICOM unanimously we vote for that. Whenever we get a chance to engage with U.S. diplomats, for example, at the last Summit of the Americas, when our heads of government had a chance to meet with President Biden and Vice President Harris, we continue to make the point in every possible fora, remove the blockade. Not only is it illegal, but it is harming the development, not only of Cuba, but of the entire Caribbean region. And just sometimes just trying to share information as to why the blockade should be removed. So, for example, during the course of last year, I discovered that in 1975, the government of the United States actually voted in the Organization of American States to remove the OAS's blockade against Cuba. So the OAS had followed the United States back in 1964, and they too had imposed a blockade on Cuba. But in 1975, the United States said, look, this blockade is counterproductive. We are voting to remove this OAS blockade against Cuba. And in any case, it is the will of the majority of nations of this hemisphere. We don't need this blockade. And the US actually voted to remove the OAS blockade. And that was a Republican administration. So I've been trying to share that information with the US Congress people and so forth. That look, in 1975, a Republican administration was able to vote to remove a blockade against Cuba. What is so difficult now in 2024? Particularly, you have a Democratic administration in office. What is so difficult with removing this almost identical blockade? The logic that applied in 1975 still applies now. It is counterproductive. and it is the will of the vast majority of nations that it goes. So we try every way that we can, because a central plank of CARICOM's foreign policy is solidarity with Cuba. But the blockade remains a reality, and so that is why we have these cooperation agreements, because we have to try to work around the blockade now. So we have to try to, redouble our efforts to have these mutually beneficial relations with Cuba, and somehow find our way around the blockade. So it's not that we can't do it. It's just that the blockade makes it a little bit more difficult to develop these relations with Cuba.
We're going to take a break here and come back and continue our conversations on CARICOM with the ambassador. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day, and join us for the CBC.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back. Just about 8 minutes to go before 7 o'clock. His Excellency David Commershong joins us every Tuesday as we have very important conversations on CARICOM. Today's no different. The ambassador joins us from Jamaica, or should I say Jamaica? But we're talking about Cuba-Barbados relations and Cuba-CARICOM relations, more specifically on today's program. What's happening on the ground in Cuba, though? I know that you mentioned that there's much talk about what's happening across the globe. Is there any impact that they can see, and how are they reacting to all that's happening in terms of what's happening in the Middle East and in Europe and things of that nature?
Well, on the ground, Cuba is struggling with the hardships arising from the blockade. You see it a lot in the transportation sector. Getting access to gasoline. Sometimes vehicles have to line up for hours to fill up that tank, gas tank. You see it with people on the streets waiting for public transportation. So yes, and the whole strategy is to make life as miserable as possible for the people, and try to get the people to turn against their government. So that is what the Cubans are dealing with. But Cuba is, it's a very well organized society, and it's a society that has a sense of internationalism. So it is always very much in tune with what is happening internationally, and trying to play a constructive role in international affairs. So lots of concern about Gaza, lots of solidarity with the Palestinian people, and the reason I went was to be part of this conference where you had journalists from over 30 countries who were brought to Cuba, who came to Cuba to discuss these kinds of international issues. I mean, Gaza kind of stole the show because everyone is very concerned about what is happening to the people of Palestine, and all of the difficulties with making sure that propaganda doesn't rule the international media, fake news, and that countries like Cuba, countries that are in a sense, find themselves on the wrong side of these powerful Western powers, are not victimized through misinformation and propaganda. So the idea was, how can all these 30 countries and how could the journalists and the news sectors all work together to make sure that there's fairness and balance in news across the world, you know. And I think Tisha would like to say a little bit too about not just about Barbados, Cuba, but about CARICOM Cuba relations, because Cuba is doing some very important projects with CARICOM. I guess the most substantial one is this. The Cuba and CARICOM has collaborated in Guyana to establish a center for the stimulation of the development of children and adolescents with special educational needs. And that center has been in operation for a couple of years now. But I don't think most Barbadian or Caribbean people are aware of this. But yes, there is this very important educational institution that has been developed with Cuban technical expertise and is located in Guyana, and it provides this very important service for our Caribbean region. In addition, Cuba is also helping CARICOM with its food security because, as you know, we have this 25 by 25 food production project in CARICOM, and Cuba was invited to sit on the ministerial council that oversees that entire project. And so Cuba is not only is Cuba on the ministerial council, but Cuba is also playing a role in helping us beef up our food production in CARICOM. Cuba is also working with CARICOM on establishing a school of the arts, a Caribbean School of the Arts, and that is slated to be established in Jamaica. So, you know, those are just some of the critical areas that we continue to have collaboration on with Cuba as a region.
All right, so definitely lots happening. Now, during my recent travels, I met a new Cuban friend, and he told me that the high school he went to in Cuba was named for a Barbadian national hero. I told him I would ask you. I wasn't sure.
And I didn't know, and I haven't heard that. But I tell you what, I want to, as part of our cooperation program, Prime Minister Motley indicated that the Barbados government would allocate $1 million every year to finance an exchange, a youth and artists exchange program with Cuba. And having gone to Havana in January and gone to places like the Fidel Castro Ruse Center, which is a new center that tells the whole story of the life of Fidel Castro, very high-tech, very interactive, and features an interactive segment that features Fidel's 3 visits to Barbados, you know, and tells you everything about his visits to Barbados. The Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. I also visited the newly refurbished Cuban Capitolio building, a magnificent building that houses Cuba's parliament and so forth. And I am very, very keen for Barbadian young people, and I'm thinking of school groups as well, to actually go to Cuba and to experience these things. I am very keen for our young science students to go and visit the Center for Genetic Engineering, you know, and get that inspiration. So these are some of the things that we are going to be working on. In fact, I've already gotten the Cubans to put together a program for visits of groups of young Barbadians, and I'll be introducing that to the Ministry of Education and to selected secondary schools. So there's just so many areas. I mean, about 20 years ago, I was involved in taking a group of 65 young Barbadian musicians to Cuba. They spent a month in Cuba studying at Cuba's National School of Music. And today, some of the most outstanding professional musicians that we have in Barbados are members of that group of 20 years ago. I think it was a life-changing experience for many of them, 12, 13, 14 years old. And several of them made the commitment then to become professional musicians. So that is the richness. That is the richness of a Cuban experience. And I've come back to Barbados. I've come back very energized to really make sure that this Barbados-Cuba collaboration program works in a very concrete way, that it is implemented in a very concrete way.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm being told by my crew in the back that the school has Barbados in the name or something like it. But
we'll double check. I'll ask my Cuban counterparts to let me know.
Yeah, and we'll figure that one out. But thank you. Travel well. Look forward to hearing more about the reparations discussions that are taking place, particularly on hearing the announcement from the governor of New York that they've secured hundreds of millions of dollars for victims of the Holocaust and their heirs in reparations. Very, very interesting. So we look forward to hearing from you and your discussions coming up. Travel safely.
I'll be there to give a report next week. Thank you. Thank you, Tisha.
All right. It's time now for us to bring you an update of the news. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacey Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is when in
morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 4 minutes after 7 o'clock and time for an update of the news. Barbados is seeing new pests every year for the last few years. Entomologist Ian Gibbs says this is why surveillance has been heightened in order to ensure that these invasive non-endemic species do not harm local helpful insects or destroy crops.
There are new insects coming on stream virtually every year. Almost every year in the past 10 years, we have had the introduction of 1 or 2 new species into the island. And so when they come in, you've then got to get them properly identified to know that it's specifically that particular insect you're dealing with, and then develop a strategy for the control of it, whether it be chemical or biological or otherwise. And I'll give you an example. About 3-4 years ago, we found a species of mealybug here that was doing a lot of damage on our pasture grasses. Those grasses being grown by, for example, the dairy farmers. So much so that when some of these pastures were cut, you would see like large clouds of this bluish smoke coming up from them, which was the bodies of the mealybug plus all the wax that they usually secrete. And they were coming up like clouds of this bluish white smoke. But what we did, we said, let's look to see if there is something biologically controlling it. And we did collections, I mean, hundreds and thousands of these mealybugs from different localities on the island. And at 2 localities, we found that there was a tiny parasitic wasp attacking them and giving pretty good control. So what we said, we were elated about that. And we took them and we transferred them to the lab. We grew up colonies of the mealybugs in the lab as well. And we infected or parasitized those colonies in order to produce lots more of that particular parasite. And then we released them at various areas on the island in the pasture grasses. And there's not really a problem with that mealybug any longer. And that's the first record of that mealybug in the Western Hemisphere. God only knows how it came in here.
There is ministerial support for the central bank's projections that the Barbados economy will soon take off. It's coming from Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman. Speaking at the St. Michael's South East Branch meeting, he said the economic review delivered by the central bank governor shows the local economy is on the right path as all sectors registered growth.
Right now, we are at $2.9 billion in foreign reserves. 2.9 billion, not million, billion, which is the equivalent of 30.3 weeks of import cover. So we have over half of a year of import cover in the economy right now. Again, coming after COVID. Let's pause and reason for a bit. Can you imagine if COVID did not happen in 2020? We would have been a lot further. But the point I'm making is that the policies of the government and the Labour Party have been able to make impact that we can now start to, as the Prime Minister said, before it was a stabilization exercise. After we came to office, you had to treat the patient, and now the patient is getting up and walking.
Now, looking towards the future, Senator Blackman says efforts need to be made to seize the opportunities available in the creative and sporting sectors.
Where I just came from, the ILO, when I was working there, there was a study which showed that jobs of the future are going to be in areas of sport, and not just the traditional sporting, going on the field or going on a court, but the other areas in the ecosystem of sporting, whether it be the management, the therapy, the different areas of sporting exercise. You have pylons, football club, basketball. We now have to reimagine what that means for Barbados' economy. And perhaps the time has now come where we have to now look at the sports economy and do the numbers and put these figures to it to see how do those teams at the local level not only tap into the national level, but become players in their own right and an ecosystem that can tap in to sports around the world.
Approximately 230 exhibitors are confirmed for this year's AgroFest. The update from Logistics and Operations Coordinator Theodore Fraser. He was speaking to CBC News during a site visit at Queen's Park yesterday. Mr. Fraser says the number represents an increase when compared to last year's exhibition.
Exhibitors have actually increased over what we saw last year. So we're looking at maybe a 20% increase over what was there last year. Well, I think it's a couple of things really. The opening back up of the island from COVID, people are a bit more relaxed now about coming out, not having to wear the restrictions in terms of the mask and so forth. And generally what the exhibition brings. It's a great opportunity to expose your products, your services. We capture close to 60,000 persons every year. So, you know, being able to showcase to that wide cross-section of patrons will always be a drawing factor.
And we have a giveaway coming up a little later on Morning Barbados for AgroFest, so you want to stay tuned for that. Plus, next, Kamisha King is discussing intimacy. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroll Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 11 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Welcome back to Morning Barbados on this Tuesday. It's time now for us to get into a very interesting discussion. 7 days of intimacy, 7-day fast. Let's welcome Kamisha King, who is a lady who has a whole host of titles that we're going to share with you. She's doing some amazing work, and we most certainly look forward to speaking with her this morning. She is a strategist and life purpose coach, a speaker, podcaster, author, publisher, content creator, and this morning she joins us. Find some time to join us on Morning Barbados. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. What about you?
I am doing well as well.
Good stuff. Good to have you back on Morning Barbados with us, particularly for this very interesting discussion. 7 days of intimacy, 7-day fast. Tell us more.
Yes, definitely. So for those persons who would have been following up with us, we first published a book called 7 Days of Intimacy. It's a guide of rediscovering yourself, finding love, falling in love with yourself again. And stemming from this book, I recognize as I continue my journey, my pursuit, I realized that God was leading me to that place where He's opening up me to go into fasting. And I started fasting, mainly because of, personal reasons. And out of that, I recognize, this is something that I need to share with my community of women of how important it is for us to be able to draw closer to God by going through fasting. So after I had my strategic meetings, you're planning for end of year, for the next year and what's to come. That's where God gave me the 7 days of fasting, which is also coming from the book itself. Is an extension of that, where it's taking you on a journey now where you're building that personal relationship with God and developing and growing and learning more and having that sound clarity that is needed and direction by fasting and tuning in and being more sensitive in the spirit. So that's what birthed 7 days of intimacy, 7-day fast.
Now, I know often we hear about, often anecdotally, why we should fast, but just to be clear on why you decided to pair the two, tell us how you think this will add to the 7-day period during which time you expect people to grow a little closer to God.
Yes. You see, what I have found is in order for us to truly understand who we are, we can't get there unless we understand what God says about us. So hearing from the source, the creator, the one who would have, who would have brought us here is important. So it's about going back to the source. I recognize most times when we don't understand how to love ourselves, it's because we don't understand God's love. God has an unconditional love, a love that is unexplainable, indescribable. Like we can't begin to wrap our minds around it. So being able to spend time at the feet of of the source is what helps us to develop that inner self-love now for ourselves, because now we understand where that is coming from. And once we are able to build on that, then we can go out now and we can give love to whoever we need to give it to, because we now understand and we have a foundation. So that's really the basis of this 7 days intimacy 7-day fast. It's about rediscovering yourself in God and understanding, having a sense of identity of who He has called you to be.
All right, that's some very interesting stuff. Now, there's going to be lots of support that you're offering during this 7 days. There will be meetings, so particular meeting times for people to be able to check in as well.
Definitely. So it's a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. fast. We're starting tomorrow, the 7th of February, until the 14th. And each day we are going to be meeting via Zoom. We're meeting at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then we'll come again at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then our final one will be 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. And the reason why we're doing this, and you'll find that out in the first day of the fast, because it's biblical about having the specific prayer times where you're spending that time in the presence of God. So we're going to be using the word, we're going to have worship, we're going to have prayer, of course. It's going to be so many different things intertwining in there, having the revelations of the word, how to apply it so that persons can understand.
All right, I know on the final day, fasting can be pretty difficult, particularly for people who've not done it before, but it certainly puts you in a different space in terms of your thought processes and how you see things. So on the final day, I know you also have something majorly planned for that, and that is February 14th.
Yes, definitely. On the final day, that's where we're celebrating because you've made it through, you. So we're having what we call worship and prophetic flow. We're going to have Apostle Leon Chase, and that's my apostle, my covering. He's going to be there. We're going to have Prophet Alex Roach as well, and we're going to have worship leader and minister Crystal J. Paul, and she's going to be there to just help us get to kind of, prepare us for the presence of God and open the floor where everything is just going to be explosive, because I'm expecting great encounters to take place here. It's going to be a supernatural move of God. And as you get registered to be a part of this, there is a group, and I think you asked that question before and I missed it. There is a support group where we call our accountability group. Once you get registered, you are part of that WhatsApp group where you're getting daily updates, you're getting the encouragement that you need, because we understand that everyone who is joining is coming in at different levels. We don't expect you to be perfect with it because we're all learning together, but we're here as a sisterhood to help build you so that we all can encounter what we need to gain from this process.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to share for those people who are registering? Yes, but some who might want to go along for the 7-day fast. Any advice on how they should approach it and what they need to do to be able to still maintain a certain level of health and energy as they go through the fast with you over the next 7 days?
Definitely. If you're interested and you want to join us, you are free to join. There's no cost to be a part of this fasting. You can actually go to our website at www.queensmindset.net, and once you go to our page, on the home page, you click the link and you get registered. Make sure at the end of your registration you click the next link to join the WhatsApp group so we can have you a part of the group. To prepare for this fast, I want you to prepare your mind of what you want to expect. What's the outcome? What do you want? It does not have to be a list of things. It can be one thing and you can list that thing that you want, but I want you to come with the intention that you are going to commit. You're not going to fall at the wayside, and if you need assistance, that's where the support team is there in the group. You have the accountability there. We're meeting together to help encourage you. And if you have any other questions, maybe something I didn't get to share here today with you, just send us a message on our social media platform. That's Queen's Mindset on Facebook or Instagram, or you can send us an email at queensmindset.qm@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and to help get you in so that you can be a part of this encounter that we are about to have starting tomorrow.
All right, wonderful stuff. I look forward to hearing exactly how things go. 7 days of intimacy and 7-day fast commencing tomorrow. I look forward to hearing at the end how everything went. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, coming up next, JCI International. We have a new president, and the immediate past president is here as well. That's all next. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, so welcome back on this Tuesday morning. It's good to have with us today some of the members of JCI International. Now, the 2024 president is here, JCI Barbados, and Kizwana Miller is the immediate past president. We will recognize your face a whole lot more. So congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very
President.
much. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome, immediate past president. I'm going to give you the honor of introducing the new president for us.
Sure. Good morning, Barbados. So our 2024 president for JCI Barbados is Mr. Devon Paris. He was elected in November of 2023 to service for 2024.
All right. Talk to me about your journey with JCI Barbados.
Well, my journey with, good morning and thanks for having us
Absolutely.
here. My journey with JCI Barbados was started in 2020, COVID time. I was online looking for something to do, browsing internet, Instagram. I found them on Instagram at JCI Barbados. So browsing, seeing what they did and everything, the impacts that they did within the community and what's not. So I decided to join, and 4 years later, I'm the president.
Tell me about your foray into the JCI family.
Well, I didn't know any persons within the JCI family from before, but there was one person that I went to church with at St. Lawrence Anglican Church, and Malika Chow, she was a past president, so I was interested in what she was doing and all the traveling she would have done. So that's what made me join the organization.
Well, you obviously went pretty hard. That 4 years on, you're the president of the organization. So tell me, Kizwana, a little bit about the new board of directors and the plans that you have coming up for 2024.
Okay, so this year's board consists of 4 females and 4 males. We're led by Devon Paris, our vice president, Mr. Sheldon Marshall. He's our VP of projects. We also have Mr. Shane Jones. He's our VP of internal affairs. He deals with membership, retention, as well as recruitment. Additionally, we also have the executive assistant, Ms. Akila Greenwich, and she looks at our business development of the organization, sponsorship, etc. We also have Mrs. Rochelle Warren Cox, and she's our treasurer who will handle all of our finances for this year. Additionally, from last year's board, we have our PRO now stepping into the role of Secretary General, and she is Miss Leigh-Marie Christian. There's myself serving as the immediate past president and advisor to the entire board. And I don't think that I left out anyone besides Mr. President, who is here. The plans for 2024 is to continue to lead with impact for the year and to execute our projects well. as well as to also build our membership base for 2024.
How do you propose to do that, Mr. President?
Well, we have several initiatives that we have planned for the year 2024. One being our mathematics program, which is about to start. It's supposed to start on February 24th. So right now we're just having a call for tutors. If you're part of any tertiary organization or anything, this is a perfect opportunity for a give back session and for give back hours for tertiary. We have to sign up for the program. You can also go on our social media, JCI Barbados, at JCI Barbados, and follow the link from the Linktree to sign up to either be a tutor or for sign up to have your child enroll in mathematics. We are enrolling persons that are in class 3 or class 4, and this is even a call for parents and guardians to also sign up your children for mathematics.
Oh, that's wonderful. Talk to me about this recruitment drive that you're embarking on. For those people who probably haven't heard about JCI, kind of summarize what you're about and who you are, and then talk to us about how we can join.
Sure. So JCI essentially is a leadership development organization for persons between the ages of 18 to 40. And there are various areas within which an individual can become involved, which may come from, trainings to projects, trainer project. We also have socials. Devon would have mentioned the travel. So yearly, there are at least 3 conferences which JCI members can attend. So if you're interested in travel, you can also do that. We also have our community outreach projects. So there are always individuals who are looking to give back, and JCI is definitely that organization for you. To become involved or to reach out to us, you can find us at jcibarbados.com. You can even send an email at info@jcibarbados.com.
Why would you advise anyone between those ages, 18 to 40? I know you said that in 2020 you were online and looking for something. Here you are as the president for this year. So, what advice would you give to any young person who's looking on, who might be looking to be a part of something far greater than themselves?
As Kizwana had just mentioned, we provide leadership opportunities for everyone. So even you may not have to be in government or anything, you could just, if you know that you have the power and you're willing to do anything and make it impactful in the community, come and join us, and we'll see how best we work together.
And plus you get a lot of bling. I'm always talking about this. I mean, check out this necklace. I mean, I think I'm going to run for presidency. I'm coming up against you, Mr. President.
No problem.
Just because, were you wearing a gold one or was it silver?
This is the same chain. So what happens is
you had to give it back?
I pass it on.
Oh.
So you pass on essentially the way of leadership each year.
Because this chain makes me feel like joining JCI.
I know.
Yeah, take it. No, I'm sorry. You know me.
Yeah,
so early in the morning, I need to smile. Yeah, but I mean, this is great stuff. I love that there's an opportunity to travel, as you mentioned, the conferences. What types of conferences are we talking about? Building on the said leadership, I would imagine meeting other people of like minds, doing similar things in different parts of the world, perhaps?
Yes, that is definitely it. So we have national convention, which consists of 8 states across the West Indies, because we are affiliated with a national organization called JCI West Indies. So every year around October, we do travel to an Caribbean island to have our convention. And then a step beyond that, we have our area conferences. And because Barbados falls within the Americas on the world map, JCI is also mapped in such a way. So at that stage, I think President Devon is going this year to Paraguay, where he represents Barbados in that conference. Last year, I went to Colombia. And then there's a bigger one, which is our Congress, which allows JCI members from all over the world to then come together in one area, or one country, I should say, to do leadership trainings. We do also personal development. We do trainings on entrepreneurship. Is a wide diversity of topics that an individual can learn from. Last year we went to Switzerland, and this year we're in Taiwan.
Now, I know that it sounds cliche a lot of the times, but so many of your members whom I've spoken to have told me they came in like little birds and they're so shy, and then they just kind of spread their wings and grow and bloom, as you mentioned. So what's happening in these sessions that help your membership to grow so quickly in such a magnificent way? I mean, look at you, 4 years on as president. Can't help but to say that. Usually people are in organizations, or maybe it's cultural, that, we think people have to hang on for a long time before they can rise to the top of an organization. But here you are 4 years on as president of an organization. You joined during COVID, simply looking for somewhere to fit in.
So one of the things that I would have gained is networking with persons. So you get to meet different persons from all different walks of life, different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds and everything. And then is the camaraderie that we have also. So we do things together. We have socials like Kids One would have mentioned. The possibilities are endless at JCI Barbados.
I add to that, one of our philosophies is 1 year to lead. So given that you only have 12 months essentially to fulfill a portfolio, it kind of causes you to push and to spread your wings beyond where you thought they could go. And because you only have 1 year to lead, it means you must also prep persons coming behind you for a succession. And as a result, you then have persons who are spreading their wings a little faster than probably other organizations where leadership is being held for 3 to 5 years. Right? So you're forced, for the most part, to grow within 12 months.
What are you hoping to accomplish during your tenure in this 1 year that you have to lead? Bear in mind, it's February already.
The clock is ticking. But I take one day at a time. I don't let the year go past very fast. I don't let 12 hours, 24 hours a day. I take it one day at a time. Some days my days are very long, but I take it one day at a time. And what I hope to accomplish is to have the organization fruitful and plentiful. We're going to do some we have some massive plans for the rest of the year. One of our stuff coming up right now is Soca Step. That is supposed to be at the gymnasium, so I'm looking forward to Soca Step. It's something different that we're planning on doing. It's just...
What's that, exercising to soca?
Yeah. You don't want to come back exercise?
I did a pair JCI Barbados with Soca Step.
Yes, we do. Yeah, so we also invited the public to come and participate with Soca Step. Just look out for our socials to hear more about the upcoming event.
Yeah, I'm being really bad to you guys this morning because, I'm always telling you about these beautiful little ties.
Yes.
And now I see that he has a gorgeous tie to match and so on. I'm just wondering about the Soca Step. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I think it will be. Especially, I heard a name in there, so it really shouldn't surprise me, anything to do with soca, when I hear a name like Shane Jones as a part of the organization. As a part of the organization, but that's good stuff. Tell us how people can join.
Okay. Yeah, so you can go to info@jcibarbados.com or send us an email at info@jcibarbados.com, or the website is jcibarbados.com. You can also find us on Instagram at jcibarbados.com as well as Facebook.
I want you to speak, in your stepping to your shoes, just where you are as immediate past president. And I know that you are on a massive recruitment drive. You want to be fruitful, as the 2024 president has said. Talk to us about how JCI has shaped you into the woman that you are.
Okay, so I joined JCI in 2016. It took me 7 years to get into the seat of presidency. When I joined, public speaking was not my thing, but through the trainings and so forth, JCI has assisted me. I am a banker by profession, and therefore when it comes to the financial aspects of JCI, our financial management courses and stuff like that, that assists me as well. It also forces me to network with other individuals, and all of that has pretty much molded who I am today. I was telling Devon when we first came here that the first time I did media was as president, because I always ran from certain environments because of the need to speak to the public. But here I am through JCI, with more confidence to do so ably.
Oh, that's beautiful. I wish you all the best. Final words are for you, Mr. President, in moving toward getting the organization to grow your membership. I'm sure you'd like to say something to those people who are looking for something to be a part of that can make a difference, not only to the community, but certainly to them as individuals as well.
I want to thank, first and foremost, the Massey Foundation for sponsoring us with another year from our fanatics. we know it's going to be a success, and we aim on having 100 students. And I also want to say to anyone who is looking for something to do on their spare time, it doesn't have to be full-time, anyone looking to do anything spare time or part-time, just come give us a shout on WhatsApp. We're just willing and able, and we're ready to assist you wherever we can.
All right, that's beautiful stuff. Thanks for coming in. On that note, mentioning Massey Foundations, I have to say good morning to Jennifer Branch and David Nealons and the entire
Julia
team at Massey
Corbin,
Foundation.
yes.
I've had an opportunity to work with them as well, wearing my hat when I do work in the areas of philanthropy. So I know
Nice.
they're doing amazing work with many, many organizations.
Indeed.
So all the best to you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
For 2024. We look forward to seeing you a whole lot more. I really don't mind the glare from your chain when you come in, when the lights hit it. Whew.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Very fancy, this JCI. So definitely something that you should look into.
Most definitely.
Being a part of it. How about that? Fortunately, they said it ends at 40, so, discriminatory. But we'll see. All right, coming up next, Rugby. How about that? They're in the house. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mahalia from Mahalia's Corner and the band to Mile Hill. I'm about to become a mommy for the very first time, and I know there's so much that I can't control as my baby grows up. And while that's the truth for all parents, there are some things we can do to help set up our little ones for a long and healthy life. And one of those things is making sure that they're immunized against deadly but preventable diseases like polio, rubella, and mumps. Things like measles have been making a recent comeback due to a serious decline in childhood immunization. Now, my mommy made sure we kept up with my immunization schedule when I was little, and now here I am, healthy, and about to do the same for my own bundle of joy. So I encourage you to get your little ones immunized, keep up with their immunization schedules, and give them the best chance at growing up strong and healthy and having the opportunity to make a positive impact on the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacey Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact
the friends about what's happening in the studio. So you caught us mid-conversation. Let me welcome Kenneth Payne, Vice President of the Barbados Rugby Football Union. And he's brought along Jessica Darrell. She is GIR, that is Getting to Rugby, and Women's Rugby Representative. And Kathy Daniel is Public Relations Officer with the Barbados Rugby Football Union. And she's unofficially known as Rugby Auntie.
Yeah, Auntie Kathy.
All right, so welcome. Good to have you with us.
Hey, thank you.
All right, good stuff. Like the uniforms, Barbadian colors. I'm hearing that it is back. So, Mr. Vice President Payne, tell me about why there was a break, first of all, and what you're doing now that you're back.
Okay, the break came because, firstly, because of COVID. Obviously, we were one of the last sports to be released because we were full contact. And then our season just finished. And then thirdly, through an initiative of the union, we thought we needed to have irrigation on the pitch so that the pitch is in good condition so that we can bid for championships and tournaments through the governing body, the regional governing body. So in order to do that, we had to dig up the pitch. So that is the reason for the break.
Wow. And for you, Jessica, you are with Get Into Rugby and a women's rugby representative. So what got you interested in rugby?
So I have been involved in being active for pretty much my entire life because that's what my parents would always preach to me. And then rugby came to my school. This is a secondary school at Queen's College. And the program was called Get Into Rugby. And as it says, I did. I got into rugby. It was fun. It was new friends. It was a new way to run around and I guess hit people, you know, as they say. So it was just an interesting new sport. And I said, well, let me try it. And I was hooked after that.
You didn't need the air quotes with the hit people.
I do.
It is indeed full contact.
Yeah.
And I think even thinking about rugby makes me a little nervous. So that brings us to you, Auntie Kathy. Talk to us about how you got into being a part of rugby.
Because I had actually, my son was an extremely active little boy. And we got him into all different sports. When we moved to the Cayman Islands, we were all over the place, but he made friends with a young man from Wales. And Jordan Southway, that's his name. I will embarrass him internationally. The Welsh are about rugby the way we are about cricket. Live, breathe, eat. So next thing I know, he's playing rugby. I know nothing about rugby. Then they have an international tournament. And he's playing against some youngsters, this is under 12s, from Bermuda. And he'd been to school with some of them because we lived in Bermuda before. He has a talent for rugby, and I just kept on with it. When we moved back to Barbados, he was able to play on the under-19s team, and then as a senior, and I fell in love with the sport. Made friends with a whole bunch of wonderful people. It's like a family, it really is.
Wow, that's good stuff. Now, I understand that you have your first men's match scheduled for the 10th of February. Tell us a little bit more about that.
But that date is not in concrete because the pitch has not been fully rehabilitated. So it's going to tend towards the end of the month rather than the 10th. So that is a 15s game. Because in rugby there are three, well, there are many facets, but there's 7s, there's 15s, there's 10s, and there's touch rugby, which should be for people like you who don't want to be hit.
Yeah, touch rugby wouldn't be for me. We're encouraging
You don't want
people
to touch you at all?
Yeah, well...
Tag rugby.
You put a belt with tags, which is Jessica's forte. That is for people who want to be around the sport, but they don't want to get involved in the physical part.
They don't want to get tackled.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
there's too much at stake here.
Well,
a lot.
Well, when you're starting a new sport, especially a full contact sport, the last thing you want is little people charging at each other full speed. Okay, that is a parent's nightmare. So we start them off with non-contact.
Yeah.
All right, interesting stuff. Tell me more about that, because when I think rugby, I think all out full contact based on what we see is just people coming at each other like freight trains. It scares me. Ironically, my daughter told me just last week that she wants to join the rugby team. I think you probably visited her school, how she heard about it.
What a smart daughter you have.
I keep telling myself that too.
So yes, tag rugby and also touch rugby are alternatives, I would say, to full contact. So in the game, you're simulating that you're tackling someone by pulling tags from their side. They're Velcroed on, and you pull them to simulate a tackle. The game continues, you pass off, that kind of situation. But it still involves the running, it still involves the rules, it still puts you in the rugby space in a more, in a less contact way, but I wouldn't say a safer way, but just more conducive to more people.
All right, very, very interesting. Now, I know that you run programs for younger people as well, as
Yep.
I mentioned. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the program, Jessica is in charge of the junior program, which is
That's 5 to 11?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
We're trying to introduce that into the schools. Jessica can speak more to that, but we have an expansion program. We're actually going to embark on a community outreach program so that we can remove the stigma that you have about rugby being this cruel sport. It is actually quite fun. And the injuries are not as bad as football.
True.
And footballers pretend to be hurt. We don't. So the misconception that rugby is about getting damaged and that sort of thing, we need to remove that. And there is a format that you don't need to get hit. So you can still be homeless. And rugby is a family globally. And once you start to play rugby, as Jessica would tell you, you get bitten by a bug that it never leaves.
Oh, and this bug isn't a bug that hurts you,
No.
because that was the entire premise of what you told me. Yes. Listen, I'm selling this for you to the parents out there who are thinking exactly what I've been thinking. How did you get into rugby?
Well, that's a strange bit. I used to play football, and I used to play in one of the parish competitions, and it was kicked off my feet. And I was like, I can't play this sport anymore.
And you pretended to be hurt?
I know, but then
It was a real hurt?
it hurt, it prayed more. And then a friend of mine, when I went to community college, he said, there's a sport that you should try, because he was a rugby player. So by going there, he said, you're a natural, why don't you come down to Garrison on Saturday? And by then I was one of the quickest players on the field. So that's how I got into rugby. And I went to my first tournament in Trinidad at 18 and never looked back since.
All right. Well, that's wonderful stuff. You know, talk to me about, you talked about your son being a ball of energy, so to speak, and getting into this sport.
Absolutely.
Did you see a difference in terms of how he was able then to exert his energy in a positive way in different ways?
For sure. Definitely. I would say any healthy, normal, whatever that means, child is a ball of energy. I found little boys, oh my gosh, they're nuclear powered. They just keep going. So you want to, my strategy was very simple. Tire him out so that when he gets home, he can't give me any trouble. In all fairness, though, it also builds a community. I had the privilege of managing the boys under 19 national team on several different tours. The most remarkable that I can recall is going to Mexico. Now, Mexico, first of all, there are probably more rugby players in Mexico than there are people in Barbados. Okay, I mean, you know, there's a huge difference in the size of the country and everything. But also, it's a completely different atmosphere, different language, everything. So managing these 22 young men on tour in Mexico City for the first time, you're like 5,000 feet above sea level. So I told them beforehand, speaking to our coach, make sure that your cardio.
Yeah, it takes a little acclimatizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is rough. And then we got to do sightseeing. We went to see the Pyramid of the Sun and all these wonderful places, and you know, just to be interacting with people from different cultures and to see some place that's, wow, just really, really different.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity, thanks to rugby, to visit other areas, other countries. It's fantastic.
Definitely some wonderful opportunities in
Mhm.
sport.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that there's so many options that
And
are
we also
available.
have scholarships.
Are
Yes.
available for
Yes.
young people. Before we get into the scholarships, though, Mr. VP, I would like for Jessica to tell us more about the program that you're so involved with the younger people, 5 to 11 years old.
Yes. So I'm the JR coordinator and also a coach myself. So we have a team of coaches that work at different schools, and also on Saturdays we do a 5 to 11 program, 10 to 11 in the morning. We're teaching kids how to work as a team. We're teaching kids how to be more confident, because when you're on the pitch, you have to make decisions. You're making decisions that impact your whole team. So we get confidence boosting, we get discipline, we get exercise. Those are kind of things that we focus on in our Saturday sessions. What we do as well in schools, like we spoke about before, is that we go to the schools and teach kids how to play rugby, tag rugby. Again, with the confidence, again, with the teamwork skills, again, with coordination, and just getting these kids up and moving. For example, if we're at PE sessions and the kids don't want to do anything because they're bored of something, hey, come and try rugby. Throw a ball around, you know, try something new that's different. And also what we're planning to do now that we have been able to integrate ourselves back into some schools, we are going to have Saturday sessions again, but in the evening, about 3:30 p.m., for children who are ages 12 to 16. So this is the demographic of children who are deciding, I actually want to play this sport and I want to play it for real. I want the opportunities, I want the skill level out of this world, I want to compete Commonwealth Games, I want to compete in CAC Games, I want to do this kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just very beautiful for me, and I love the fact that we can interact with younger generations, interact with younger kids who need purpose, who want something to do. I don't know, it's beautiful. That's what I do.
That's a great segue into the opportunities.
Yeah, so we had a couple of years ago, BC, before COVID, we had a program where some of the rugby
I got
players...
pause, man. You just said BC before COVID?
Correct.
Yes. Yep. Listen, I have priests all across the island who just gave a collective sigh.
Yes, that would happen.
So he didn't do that. I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
So once you are involved in rugby, there are a couple universities. We actually have one girl who's playing overseas, and they scout for players. And once you're good enough, they provide partial scholarships. And as you know, rugby is a multifaceted sport. So you're going to have more than one athletic blessing. So you can take up another sport while you're there. Unfortunately, as we say, rugby is a jealous sport. As in, once you start to play rugby, all other sports are pedantic. But that is the program that we also have for young people who want to further their studies.
All right, that's wonderful stuff. I mean, you've done a great job this morning at convincing me, you know, of at least trying the sport. Not for me, you know, but, you know,
sure?
for others.
Come on down and try.
Auntie Kathy, you've played?
Occasionally.
I don't believe Auntie Kathy.
And I'll tell you something about rugby. Yeah? Regardless of where you go on this planet, once you mention that you've played rugby, you will find somebody who has played it.
Yep.
And they treat you as family.
Yep.
Okay.
Because it happened to me in Wales. I just walk in the street and I asked one guy.
She just said that they love it like cricket, so I can understand being in the street in
and
Wales.
I asked one of the
enjoying
guys, where's the closest club? And he said, you play rugby? And he actually introduced me to about 20 people in one day.
Wow, that's wonderful stuff. Kenneth KP Payne.
Yes, that's
Can't
me.
get any more obvious than that. You've been doing initials this morning. So KP is Vice President of the Barbados Rugby Football Union. Jessica Darrell is Get Into Rugby, GIR, and Women's Rugby Representative. She's rugby coach. She's taken the sport to a younger demographic. And Auntie Kathy Daniel is PRO of the Barbados Rugby Football Union, and unofficial, I think it's official by now, Auntie Kathy. You are the official rugby auntie.
Yes,
I don't think that's unofficial anymore. Definitely. So get into the sport. Once again, they're getting ready to bring things back up and running, literally and figuratively, again. So another option for us and for the little ones as well. So thanks for coming in. I look forward to experiencing the sport from the bleachers.
We expect to see you there.
Not a problem.
Enjoying it
You're welcome.
tremendously
Yes.
by screaming. Might bring a few pom-poms.
I love it.
You know,
Yes.
and show my support.
And bring your daughter.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, I have some tickets for you. So get close to your phone line.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the community this Thursday.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
With just 4 minutes to go, we're giving you an opportunity to win a ticket to go to AgroFest. So go ahead and I'm going to tell you, it's really simple. I'll give you the question right now. Where is the home of AgroFest? Where is the home of AgroFest? That is so easy. You can win by calling me on 228-5562 or 228-5563. So get to it. It's simple. That's an easy question. So you should be a winner. Let's go to the phone line and see who is there. See if we have a winner already. Good morning and welcome to Morning Barbados. Remember, those numbers 228-5562 and 228-5563, just in case the first caller does not get it correct. But I'm hoping that you do. So here we go. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling us from?
St. James.
St. James in the house. Good to have you with us. Now, question. Where is the home of AgroFest?
Queen's Park.
I really wanted you to win, and you did. Queen's Park is the home of AgroFest. Do you go to AgroFest every year?
Not every year, but I've been many times.
All right, well, hopefully we'll bring you back to AgroFest in 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so there we have it. Don't hang up. Our producer, Alicia, will take your information in the back. So congratulations to you, St. James, winning this morning. So, you know, that's it for today. I mean, the time goes by so quickly. I can hardly believe that we're at the end of another program today, the 6th of February, and going really quickly. Cannot believe that, you know, it's February already. But it's the month of love, so make sure you show a little love as you move around. Hey, coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to have a good time talking HR with the Human Resources Management Association of Barbados. There's Doc Talk with Dr. John Barker. We have the Department of Emergency Management in collaboration with the St. James Central District Emergency Organization and the Coastal Zone Management Unit. They're working towards achieving the tsunami ready recognition for the Porters to Batrock area and the immediate environs. Mr. Selwyn Brooks is going to be in to tell us more about that partnership and why you should be in the know about all that's happening in that area. So that and a whole lot more will be coming up tomorrow on Morning Barbados. So as you go through your day today, remember to wear your smiles, and most importantly, come on back to us tomorrow from 6 a.m. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.